I cannot estimate the costs, but I can say that I'm not worried about those who do not understand what I'm trying to do. I always try to convince them to see the things the way I see them. In 2023, we were in the streets, and we had very concrete issues that we were raising. One of them was the issue of the elections of 2022. Because as you know, we had opportunity to access the server, and which was telling completely different story of the one that was announced by Mr. Chebukati. So we pressed for the server to be opened. And secondly, we also talked about the high cost of living, which was really putting a lot of stress on the population of our country. And we also talked about the issue of corruption in the country. That there was a very violent reaction to our demonstrations, and we lost quite a number of our people. We did come out clearly saying that change must come in the country. And all in all, we lost about 70 people at that time. But then the international community intervened, and we had a conversation with President Ruto and agreed to set up a task force to mediate and come up with proposals on how to deal with the issues in contention. It was led by Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka and Mr. Kimani Ichung'wah. They came up with what you call the NADCO report. And we then said the NADCO report needed to be implemented. It was taken to Parliament, but there was quite a bit of prevarication, but it eventually went through Parliament. But before it was implemented, then, of course, the Gen Z issue came up.
June 2024.
Just June 2024. Had the NADCO report been implemented earlier, we would not have ended up with the
Gen Z protests?
Exactly. Because the issues that the youth were raising were very similar to the ones that we were raising the previous year. Now, the youth, of course, say that they were out to finish the job. They asked me to stay home. And I did respect their wishes, and I stayed home. And of course, they went further than we had gone. They stormed the Parliament. They even stormed the judiciary. And they were on their way to State House when they were blocked by the forces. But when they overwhelmed the police, then the regime tried to bring the military. When we protested that military cannot be deployed on civilian population without express authority of Parliament, they went to Parliament and coerced Parliament to pass it. And it showed the military on the streets for the first time, which was a very dangerous development. Now they were stalemate at that time. And there was a danger that ultimately the military would come to take over. We were almost on the brink of that happening at that time. But then when that happened, there were speculations as to what was going to happen. The Gen Zs were not able now to come on the streets, and that was actually going to create a state of anarchy in our country. We've seen what has happened in other countries in a similar situation. So in that charged environment, one of my colleagues, President Uhuru Kenyatta, called me. He was in the US, and basically suggested that although he knows I don't want to talk to Mr. Ruto, in the interest of the country, I need to find a way of talking to him. Remember, I issued a statement condemning what was happening and urged President Ruto to take measures to stop what was happening, the brutality that was taking place. I did not even have to eventually look for Mr. Ruto. He asked to come and see me and agreed that we could talk. When we had discussions, I was very clear to him. I said, this is the issues, these have come up because you did not implement the narco report. That's why we are where we are today. And under these circumstances, you must have a broader conversation to bring the people together so that you can be able to confront the issues which are in contention. He was reluctant, but eventually he agreed. And he announced that he was going to convene a forum for Kenyans to have a discussion on the issues in contention. Of course, this was rejected by the Gen Zs, that it was a waste of time. Because I supported this proposal. It was actually my idea. But then they say that, we have had these conversations several times. The issues are clear, that the government just need to implement what is being demanded. Then Ruto actually came up and said, okay, I'm going to dissolve the cabinet. And I'm also not going to sign the finance bill. I'm referring it back to Parliament. In my view, that is what pricked the balloon. Because now there are no issues. There was no government, and there was also no finance bill. You see, and once that happened, Ruto now said that he was going to form a government in consultation with all stakeholders to create a consensus. We said we don't want to say in government until we have had a conversation as a people, which did not happen. Then he said he would at least appoint half of the cabinet so that there was no stalemate, which he did. After doing that, we tried to consult among ourselves in Azimio if we could find a way of participating in a broad-based government. I myself was against it. My other colleagues were also against it. But then eventually, the group within my party felt that the statement that we had required that some experts who are not part of the Kenya Kwanza regime can go into the government and see how they can help to steady the ship and come up with new ideas to deal with the issues in contention. No. What I'm trying to say was the country was in a state of crisis. It was a stalemate, as it were. You see, one time Ruto must go, Ruto is not going. And the streets have become almost inaccessible. So it is a stalemate which can actually create a state of anarchy. And that anarchy can end up in a state like Somalia. That is not what we thought was an option. And that's really why this decision was taken at that time, to get a government at least moving forward, which somebody can negotiate with. And that's how we allowed our people to join the government. And I said we were not in government at that time, and which is true, until after we did clear negotiations and came up with the 10-point agenda. That is when formally the ODM agreed to join a broad-based government.